Namaskar. So, this Wednesday evening, we will study who will receive the grace of God, but if we can reach up to that or otherwise, from the page 790, we will study. Now, let us begin with this stotra. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kubibhiritam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimadatam bhuvi grinanti e bhurida janaha. Katha amrita. Katha means the teachings, the conversation, the talk. That becomes like nectar. How? Because that gives us the actual idea of spiritual life. And what is the spiritual life? To know the truth. Again, what is this truth? To know the knower, to know the creator. So this whole process is called religion. The religion actually, there are different type of practices, system. Why? Only to develop in the mind that conception about the reality. Why we talk about reality? Because this world is completely temporary. That is our daily experience. Constantly everything is moving, everything is changing, including ourselves. But at the same time, we don't like to believe it. We don't like to accept it. When all people around us are dying, our known people are dying, passing away, we like to believe that I am not going to die. I like to survive. So why this? So the Vedanta, after great research, they said this is because of the Maya. From where this power of Maya has come? From the God, because except God was nothing there. God is the only source. Good and bad all come from Him. So this is, all things are so much jumbled up. We are thoroughly confused. So sometimes people, they say, forget about it. Let us enjoy this world as long as we are surviving. So that is also another philosophy. They call Charvaka philosophy. They only materialistic way they like to live, and they like to die, and they like to go away. But at the same time, there are some people who are constantly thinking, why then we like to survive? Not only me, each and every being, they all like to live. Where from this notion came, the characteristic came, where from we know that we like to live. Something must be, the creator must be having that quality, so that quality has come to us. We like to know. We like to live, we like to know, and we like to enjoy. No one wants to suffer. So they shortlisted these are the three categories. First, no one likes to die. Everyone likes eternity. So the source is eternal, from where we have all come. Second, we like to know that that is the source of knowledge. There's a uniqueness. And finally, each and every one of us, we like to enjoy. And for the enjoyment, we have seen, when we go for the materialistic object, it is all temporary. So we like to go back to somewhere where we will get the eternal joy, which is called bliss. And for that, we need not to depend on any object or anything. In gist, this is the whole of religion, understanding the reality and going back to the truth, and what is the ultimate goal or ultimate achievement? Fearlessness, eternity, and joy eternal. So knowledge, existence, and bliss. So they have given Sat, Chit, Ananda. In Sanskrit, Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda is the joy or bliss. So Sat, Chit, Ananda, these are the three things is the creator. Now this creator is all pervading, it is not having any form, but we are not satisfied with that. So we need something to which we can approach, we can talk, we can pray, we can fight with. So the conception of God has come. And from that God again, that is also sometimes an abstract idea. So we need someone who will be with us, but at the same time having the knowledge and power of God. So that is called avatara. So friends, there are one step when we like to know only, and those people, those who are following the path of knowledge, that is particularly, especially in Hinduism, in Sanatana Dharma, their path is there where they don't believe in God, but they are very holy people. Why? Though they don't believe in God, but they have constantly discriminating. They are discriminating constantly, withdrawing the mind from the sense objects, and when we look at them, the transformation is really unique. They're full of love, full of generosity, and how these changes come because of the knowledge. So the path of knowledge, but very difficult. Why? Because you don't have anything to hold on. So there is no one to go and talk to. Some people may do it, very special type of people. So they are called Jnani. Jnani, they are the knowledgeable people, Jnani. And the next comes Bhakta. The same goal is the same, but they are taking a different route, different path, and different type of practices. So when Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, the God himself, has taken the human form, which we call avatara, or the incarnation of God, and he is just like us as a human being, and living with us, growing up with us, talking with us, but at the same time so unique that when all people are running after the wealth, name, fame, physical comfort, he is going exactly opposite direction, and he is full of joy. So when we are running after the wealth, suddenly we stop and turn back and see, how come this man is so happy without anything? Then you stop and start thinking which side we should go. Go for this? All 99% are going for the money, money and money. After having the money, they are not happy. There are so many stances are there. Then what? So then you stop and look at this person who is quietly sitting in one place, maybe looking at the, as you call, rat race. All the rats are running. He is looking at this type of people and amusing and laughing. Then we go to him and he goes on giving us the unique teaching, and that is called the words, the teachings become Amrit, the nectar. Those who understand that, implement that in their life, follow in their life, they also become full of joy. So let us, the last Wednesday I was in the very wonderful city, Charlotte, and it is in the North Carolina, the state of America, a very famous state. And from there I gave this class and I read out all the pages, and we were discussing about the karma and all that. And here we will start from the page 790, from the continuation of the same discussion. The ego seems to vanish this moment, but it appears the next. So why the karma, why this conflict? Ego. And what is this ego? It comes from God. And it is a tremendous power. But at the same time, it has no reality. What is this ego? If we like to explain, no one will be able to say anything. But each and every one of us feeling that. When I say this is north and somebody says no, this is south, conflict. So why? It's not the conflict of knowledge, it's the conflict of the ego. Then I am saying this and why he should not accept it. Like that it goes on. But who is this I? Why should I have to say that whatever I have said? Why not stop and then listen to the other man, whether his arguments and his analysis is good or not? No, we don't have that patience. Ego. So I need not to explain about ego, because each and every one, right from the childhood days till the before death, all this ego, we know what is it. And this ego is separating us from God. Very peculiar. We are gods because we are the creation of God. But only we don't understand that we are God because only one thing that God has given us, that is ego. And we cannot hold it. Those who understand that can remove that. Immediately they stand face to face with that God. And immediately they get fulfilled and can say, I, the Son of God. All power, all knowledge, all joy, eternity, everything we get only if we can remove the something which is falsely holding us, this ego. So the discussion is going on in the Ram's house. The captain has come, other devotees are there. The discussion is going on, the ego. And Sri Ramakrishna is trying to explain it to the devotees, saying it vanishes this moment, next moment it appears. Unless the one renounces the ego, one does not receive the grace of God. So who will receive the grace of God? When one can remove the ego. So simple. What is this ego? I consciousness. What is this I? From here, we have to analyze ourselves. When I say I, pointing my finger on this body, does it mean this bones, this flesh, this blood, and all this? No. Because this body, it will go after some time, people will burn it or bury it. It will be remaining over here. It goes mixing with other things. Sometimes some of the people, they will put in a beautiful box, very costly box, sometimes metal box, sometimes gold, and the rich people. Whatever you do and whatever the medicine you are applying on it, slowly it will reduce to nothing. It will go back to the sources. So naturally it will be so bad smell, people won't be able to stand near it. And it will be so ugly looking, people, even the dearest one, won't like to look at it. This body cannot be that I. So what is this I? Then if not this body, then what is this I? Oh, then the mind. I am thinking, I am activating, I am intelligent, I am doing. So this I, is this the I truly? The mind? The mind is also, we have seen so many people, they have forgotten everything. They are living, they are eating, they are walking. But they have forgotten everything. They cannot recognize their own sons, daughter. What about that? God forbid, let everybody be healthy. And that type of Alzheimer should not be having anyone of the devotees and no one. It's a terrible disease. You are living in your known world as an unknown one. that the person, he doesn't know that he's a patient. He thinks I am all right, but after bathing, he thinks, oh, have I bathed? Oh, I don't remember. Have I eaten? I don't remember. Who is this person? Is my son, but I don't recognize. What a terrible condition, you just imagine. What a terrible condition. So this is the way, if we are thinking the mind is me, that is terrible. This mind can take me anywhere. The mind cannot be the me. Then who is this? Who am I? That is the question the Vedantin they are asking. Who am I? Ko aham. This is in Sanskrit, ko aham is a unique question. Kuto ayata. Wherefrom have I come? Kava gati me. What is my goal? Where I am going to go? Wherefrom have I come? My father and mother has given me the birth, and then I am growing, and someday I will die. And this is the natural way it goes. Why you are asking this question? Just enjoy your life, and when the day will come, moment will come, then you die. That's all. No, that cannot be. That is not the life of a human being. The human being are those who try to understand and realize the truth. The man is man so long he can fight with his nature, external and internal. That is the way Swami Vivekananda explained. We have to fight with our nature. What is this nature? They try to take us down always to the different types of objects, worldly objects. So we see something and we think, oh, this is the wonderful thing I should have. We hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. These are the only 5 things making us mad. The millions and millions of people are dying, but the richest of the rich people cannot imagine, but they can help them, they could help them. They could save their life. And by that way they could have enjoyed their life also. They could be God. Their images, their pictures will be everywhere in the world. People will never forget them. Oh, these are the kind people. So what makes you permanent, happy, popular, worshipped by many is a sacrifice. That sacrifice we have to make. And what is the ultimate sacrifice? The wealth, the money, the property? No. Ultimate sacrifice is the sacrifice of ego. The ultimate sacrifice. The sannyasa, the monkhood, is nothing but the preparation of sacrificing ego. Is not that uniqueness? I don't belong to this world because this whole world is illusory. But as long as I am thinking, the world is existing. So when I don't think, there is no world at all. So these are the way they go on thinking. When I am sleeping, do I ever think what will happen to my building? No, I just forget. Before that, before going to bed, I am carefully locking all my doors and windows and checking everything is all right. Then I go to bed. But when I sleep, there is no house, there is no room, there is no property, there is no society, nothing remains. This is our daily experience. Then where we go? And there we are not worried at all. We are so happy. Why? We forget ourselves. The association of this physical body and the mind, when we forget that. So what? The ultimate giving up, ultimate renunciation, ego, that I. So Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is going on give. The moment we can give that, the grace of God will come. What is the grace of God? Because the ego is separating us from God. We are in reality God. And what is that God? Full of love, all pervasive, all powerful, all compassionate. Anything good that we can imagine, all God. And that ultimately it is full of joy. There is no sorrow in God, cannot be. So when we become God ourselves, sometimes some people may say, oh, this is blasphemy. How a sinner can become God? Who is sinner? I didn't do anything, I didn't commit any sin. God has given me the ego. From the point of view of the Hindus, I didn't ask him to give, but he gave me. Now that is his play. And in the play he taught me that you have to overcome the ego, the barrier that I have given you, you have to scale it. You have to overcome it. And then you have to remove the ego. I gave you the ego. At the same time, I have given you the teaching how to remove the ego, didn't I? I gave it through the scripture. I gave it through the holy people. I myself advented as a human being and taught you. And if you don't learn it, then suffer. So this is the way, if we can see from the point of view of the dualistic. Don't mix it up with the monist, non-dualist. The monist approach is different, but they are another different type of people. But now the dualist, those who cannot think of that I am that God, well, for them God has given me ego and separated me from God. Result, suffering, anxiety, a different type of problems, okay? And God has come as the rishis, as the holy teachers, as the gurus, as the avatara to teach me how to remove the ego. Here, at this moment, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, he is giving us the technique to go beyond the ego. He is God himself. He has given us the ego and also the teaching how to remove the ego. Then if we learn it, then who is going to be benefited? Me. If we don't, who is going to suffer? Me. It depends on me. This is the game. And as long as I concern is there, then Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna will give different type of example. So who is going to get the grace of God, the blessings of God? We call in the Indian language, in Sanskrit, kripa. Who is going to receive the grace? Kripa means grace of God. Those who have removed the ego. Otherwise not. So this is the condition is very clear. The grace of God will come on us if we can remove the ego. Of course, a little bit of things that, oh God, I am having this problem, please save me from this problem, that comes because of the prayer, the power of prayer. And when we are praying sincerely, obviously God is not a stone thing. It is a living. It can understand, it can feel, it can hear. That's why Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said, I truly promise to you God is there. Anyone can see God, talk to God. This is a living something, very close to us. And it depends on our mind why we can't see it. Because our mental vibration is not going up to that. The moment our vibration, our mind will be that level, immediately we will understand, oh, this is God. And why we cannot, again, the calm, three-letter word, that terrible word, ego, ahamkara. This ahamkara is going on. Suppose there is a feast in a house, and the master of the house puts a man in charge of the stores. As long as the man remains in the storeroom, the master doesn't go there. So the master, so we have to understand the meaning in between the line. Sri Ramakrishna is giving an example. The master of the house has employed or given in charge a person to look after the store. That means the ego he has given. Now, as long as that ego, now the man in charge of the store, actually the ego, he is explaining in that way. Who has given the in charge? God. The master of the house has given charge to a person to look after the store. Here we have to understand the God has given ego to a person. Second line, as long as the man is there in the storeroom, the master won't go there. Now, if we continue with that ego, the God's grace will not come. Third, when that person who was given the charge leaves that place, the master himself will go and take care of the store. When the ego that was given to us by God, and we say thank you very much, in this Thanksgiving day, we need not to keep us ego. We don't need the ego. And the God will be happy. Okay, I will take charge. Now, if we consider this body as a storehouse, storeroom, and someone, the master, the God, has given me the charge that this is your body, this is your mind, this is you, and my ego is sitting over here, God will never come. The master will never come. Now, when I say enough is enough, for a long period of time I am here, oh God, no more. So I am leaving. Who this I? The ego. When it goes away, then naturally what remains? Only God. God comes and fulfills. So this way, if we can understand the beautiful way Sri Ramakrishna giving us the main teaching, you have to give up the ego. As long as the man remains in the storeroom, the master doesn't go there. But when his own will, when of his own will, he renounces the storeroom and goes away, then the master locks it and takes charge of it himself. When we give the ego, then the self, the jivatma, the individual soul, God himself will take charge of that. So who received the grace, the blessings? When we give away our ego. A guardian is appointed only for a minor. A boy cannot safeguard his property. Therefore, the king assumes responsibility for him. God does not take over the responsibilities unless we renounce our ego. And externally, when we see that a minor has been given, that's because minor cannot take responsibility. So the king is assuming the responsibility. God does not take over our responsibilities unless we renounce our ego. Now here we means that minor. The minor, a child, he is not having any ego. He doesn't know actually. So who is taking care? The king. And me, if I become just like that minor, oh God, I do not know what to do. What shall I do now? God's grace will come. So when we are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, if you just go on reading, there's a beautiful examples and like that. But the truth that is hidden over here, and that is the beauty, you have to find it out. Otherwise what? The ego is the main problem. Now the example Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is giving, the master has given the charge of a storehouse, storeroom, to a person. then the master is not visiting the storeroom because that person is sitting there. Now, when that person of his own will, master will never say, go away. Never. The own will he goes away, then the master takes charge. What is this? We were talking about ego. That means the God has given the ego to a person and now the game has begun. Again, here in the scripture, in the Panchama Veda, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, indication is very clear. You have to give up that ego over there and say, sir, it is enough. I won't be able to perform anymore. Then the God himself will take charge. Another example, minor. The minor cannot take his own decision. Similarly, I have to go and surrender at the feet of God and say, I don't know what to do. It is you who are there, my protector, as a king. So please protect me. So this is the way we can learn. And now he is giving an anecdote, that to explain the thing. So first is the ritual. In the spirituality, in the religion, the first is the ritual. And second is the morality. Third is the mythology. Mythology is the stories. Depending on some wonderful teaching, some truths are there, history is there, and some the stories, thinking, and then punched up and give it to the people to understand the truth. Here, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna giving us a beautiful story, mythological story. Once Lakshmi and Narayana were seated in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the place, the abode of Narayana. And Narayana's power is Lakshmi. When Narayana suddenly stood up, Lakshmi had been stroking his feet. She said, Lord, where are you going? The Narayana answered, one of my devotees is in great danger. I must save him. With these words, he went out. But he came back immediately. Lakshmi said, Lord, why have you returned so soon? Now Narayana smiled and said, the devotee was going along the road overwhelmed with love for me. Some washermen were drying clothes on the grass, and the devotee walked over the clothes. At these the washermen chased him and were going to beat him with their sticks. So I ran out to protect him. But why have you come back? Asked Lakshmi. Narayana laughed and said, I saw the devotee himself has picked up a big stone, a brick, to throw at them. So I came back. Everyone started laughing. So what is the teaching of the story, the anecdote? If we are taking responsibility for ourselves, God will be away. And if we can become just like the baby who is lying on the lap of the mother and cannot do anything, only crying and to draw the attention of the mother, then the mother will take care of the baby. If a grown-up child running here and there, something is happening, the child is taking care of himself or herself, the mother knows they will be or she will be able to understand the problem and then work accordingly. Mother won't be worried and won't help. But the baby on the lap, mother will be taken care. So the indication is this: if we give up the ego completely and can depend on God like a baby on the lap, God will take care. So the man who was merged in the devotion of the Narayana, when there was a problem, he made a mistake because he was in a closed eyes, he was walking, didn't notice that there are some washed clothes that are drying over there. He worked on that. That was a mistake. But when he was having the trouble, immediately God was rushing to him to help, but he himself became aware and took a brick to fight. Ego started working. I am fighting back. The God will go away. So this is a very clear indication. But friends, depending 100% on God is really very difficult. If we can truly depend on God, we need not to do anything. God will take care of everything, truly. But depending 100% on God is just, we see the life of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. A life completely dedicated to God. It's not doing anything except the indication or the advice of the God or with the will of God. Otherwise you won't do anything. So when the Sri Ramakrishna is giving this example, he himself is the example. Example how to depend on God and work. So beautifully he is mentioning, I said to Keshav, you must renounce your ego. Then Keshav replied, if I do, how can I keep my organization together? Now here comes, friends, we are discussing about the ego. Just as our reminder, where from the ego came? From the God. The God has given us the ego. Now, the problem is, as long as we are with that ego, God will never come to us. The grace of God will never come to us. Then the problems that we are facing, the challenges that we are facing, we have to face and we have to work with that. God will never help. So this is the game that is going on. Now God has come, the avatar, and then he is giving us the advices that if you give up the ego, you can go back to God, which is the source of eternal joy and bliss and happiness. Now problem is, we have got so much attached to that ego, the I-ness. I am thinking, if I am not there, then who will run the organization? Keshav Chandra Sen, you must be knowing, those who were hearing the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you must be knowing about the Keshav Chandra Sen. At that time, he was a contemporary person of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. He was a very famous person. And he was developing an organization, a spiritual organization, social and spiritual organization, Brahma Samaj, Sadharan Brahma Samaj. There were Brahma Samaj, then breakout group. Now Keshav was telling that if I give up my ego, how can I continue with my organization? From here, we should be very attentive to understand, because all of us are having some responsibilities in the household. We, the Ramakrishna Mission monks, we are having so much of responsibility in this organization. And we may think that, oh my God, why I should be bound by this? Who is going to take responsibility? Now we are having some problem with the water connection in one of our old building that's called Mother's Cottage in the Homer Glen area. Now I had to get the money, when to get the permission and all this. I'm a monk. This is not my house, but I'm very much concerned that I'm trying to talk with the people who can help with the monetary help, and also some of the devotees who can help me by with the authorities who can give the connection of the water and all that. Now this is the challenge, this is the problem. I have to collect fund, I have to collect the people. Why should I do that? Then I shall give up all those up, so I am free, then I will take the name of God. That you can, if it is possible. But at the same time, when you are doing it for the good of many, if that house can be maintained with the proper water, then the devotees can come and stay and they can enjoy the life of an asrama, a spiritual life, a serenity. And you, the monk in the Vedanta society, you are organizing that. The devotee and the God, you are organizing, let these people come for the betterment of others. That is exactly what Swami Vivekananda said. He said that, what is this life for? Our mission, Ramakrishna mission, Atmana Moksha Jagat Hita. In Sanskrit, beautifully coined, Atmana Moksha is for the liberation of one's own self. How? Helping others to get that too. Jagat Hitaya Cha. Cha means and also for the benefit of the world. Now I can simply live and I can be alone, roaming around here and there. That is life. But I take the challenges. Why? If I can get the connection of the water and collect some fund and talk to that person, and that way, then many devotees for many long period of time can come and stay and enjoy the life of the religion here in this asrama. Why should I not do that? Let me do that. But how? Now the answer is coming. The Keshav was telling, if I leave the ego, my organization will go. Now here the problem that I placed before you people, if I give up the ego, then who is going to write the application to the devotees, contacting the authority, if my ego is not there? This same problem. So we should have to have the ego. Now if I am having the ego, I don't get the grace of God. Then if I don't get the grace of God, then why should I have that? Why should I do that? I have left my hearth and home, my family, whole life, only to get the grace of God. Now this is the very, very challenging moment. We have to understand it very clearly. The reply of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. I said to him, now I read again, I said to Keshav, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is telling to Keshav, you must renounce your ego. How clear it is, very straightforward, because he is the teacher, a grade 1 teacher, because he loved Keshav and knew that Keshav is going to get the grace of God if he can give up the ego. He was on the last leg of that. And the last level, the highest level, only little removal of the ego, and he is going to becoming the God himself, realize God. But the Keshav was having that doubt, and he said, sir, if I give up the ego, then who will look after the organization? So how can I keep my organization together? Hey, you do this, you do that, you should not do this. Who is going to say? The organizer. And if I don't say that, the organization will break. So all these disciplines I have to keep. And when I am keeping the discipline, I is remaining. So this is the dilemma, what to do. And this is the challenge in the tapasya, austerity of Ramakrishna mission monks. And the monks, those who are having the organization. This is the challenge. I said to him, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is telling to him, the Keshav, how slow you are to understand. Look at it. Sri Ramakrishna, he never attended in school, and the Keshav Chandra is such a learned person, and he is telling him how slow you are to understand. I am not asking you to renounce the ripe ego. This is the only way we can save ourselves. I am not asking you to renounce the ripe ego, the ego that makes a man feel he is a servant of God or he is devotee. That is called ripe ego. In Bengali, Paka Ami. Ami means ego, I, and Paka means the ripe. What is the ripeness? Matured. I know that I am nothing but God. But at this moment, I am little separate from God because I am working. So I am servant of God. I am the son of God, daughter of God. We are the children of God. So that way when we are working. So here Sri Ramakrishna mentions servant. Why servant? I am humble. I am performing your work. So when we are constructing a house where the devotees will come and stay, it's not for me. They are not coming to meet me. They are coming to meet my master, my God, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So who am I? I am the servant. The servant, the word sometimes we preach, oh, the wise servant. Okay, I am the worker. I am working for God. So he is telling how slow you are to understand. You need not to give up the ego. Which ego? Ripe ego. What is that ripe ego? I belong to God and it is God's work. Friends, those who are coming to do the voluntary work in the ashramas, if they remember this, that I belong to God and this is my God's, my master's, the place. So I am taking care, all the doors are closed or not in the night, and then whether all things are properly, lights are put up and the heating system is properly adjusted, otherwise the heavy bill will come. Then all these things I am doing, but I know this doesn't belong to me. But at the same time I am concerned, why? This belongs to my God. And a time will come, I will leave all this thing and I will die and go back to God again. Somebody else will enjoy this, but still I am doing and so attentively. So that is called ripe ego. Without ego we cannot work. And without work, without realization, if you give up the work, you are nowhere. Because in the Bhagavad Gita again the Sri Krishna is mentioning that without performing the work, you cannot burn up the work. You have to do that. Now Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna now, he is teaching us, giving the secret, work, but as an employee of the God, as a servant of God. Servant word, but I am so humble. I don't take any decision. The God is giving me the decision. God is asking me to do it, and I am doing it. This is a unique way to practice austerity. The spiritual austerity doesn't mean that we should go into the forest and then stand inside the water and the rock and these, that. Living in the household also, but detaching myself from the ego. And with ego, that is ripe ego, I belong to God and I am doing God's job. This is a very, very unique way to realize God. So Sri Ramakrishna, that's why this Panchama Veda, the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, is so unique, so wonderful. You need not to give up anything, no hearth and home and this and that. Whatever you are doing, do in such a way that I belong to God and I am doing it for the God. That is why he is mentioning the ego that makes a man feel that he is a servant of God or he is devotee. Give up the unripe ego. The unripe ego is the problem, which is attached with this body and mind. I means this body and mind. The Devata and Asura, the two words, all the time in Indian philosophy they say the clashes between Asura and Sura. Sura means enlightened one. Asura, the ignorant one. The Asura and Sura constantly fighting. You will see that Indian mythology full of that. But they are the same. One ego is unripe ego, attached with the body and mind. Another ego ripe ego, not attached with the body and mind, but ego. That's why they are fighting. Otherwise, why? Whenever we are working, we are having the ego. But if the ego is attached with God, that ego, according to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, the terminology, that is ripe ego, paka ami, and that helps us to realize God. But exactly opposite, kacha ami, unripe ego, attached with the body and mind, that bind us in this world. So this is the ego he is saying. The ego that makes a man feel he is God's servant, his child. This is the ripe ego. It never harms one, doesn't harm one. Then the Trilokya, the gentleman who actually, one of the pastor of the Brahmo Samaj, he was there, he is commenting. It is very difficult to get rid of the ego. People only think they are free from it. Trilokya is mentioning, we also all know it's so difficult to go beyond the ego. Master, he is giving the example. Trilokya said it is difficult. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna immediately is another person who was also the contemporary person. He is there. So Sri Ramakrishna is giving his example. Not from the scripture, from the Mahabharata, Ramayana, no. From the same community, from the same time. Who is that person? Gauri. The Gauri was a great austere person and he was a great scholar. Gauri would not refer to himself as I, lest he should feel egoistic. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna also never mentioned, but instead of giving his own example, he mentioned about the Gauri. The Gauri was known and respected. That Gauri never said I, pointing the finger to his body, associating the body and the mind, lest feel that egoistic. He would say this instead. I followed his example and would refer to myself as this instead of I. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, because he is so humble, he will always give the credit to somebody else. He will never say, oh, this is my word, my theory, and the Gauri is practicing. No. He said, I learned from Gauri. So this is the humbleness. He is the God. Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarva dharma sarupine. Swami Vivekananda, when he is giving that, offering the flower, and he is remembering, who is this person I am worshipping? Sarva dharma sarupine. He is the embodiment of all varieties of religions, paths leading to the same goal. And here, Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning, he would say this instead, I followed his example and would refer to myself as this instead of I. Instead of saying, I have eaten, I would say, this has eaten. Mathur noticed it and said one day, what is this? Revered Father, why should you talk that way? Let them talk that way. They have their egotism. You are free from it. You don't have to talk like them. Mathur is a jamindar. He is a very rich person, but look at it. He realized, who is this Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna? And that's why he very correctly mentioned that other people say, because they are afraid of their egotism, you need not to bother about that. You are completely free from ego. You are the God yourself. Sri Ramakrishna was giving the example I to do, but again here the Mathur. So we find when the Trilokya said it is very difficult to practice the path without ego, and Sri Ramakrishna is giving the example of the Gauri, a contemporary scholar, that he said like this, never said I, but said this. Then he mentioned that I learned from him and I was also doing this. And he comes another example of a realized soul. But he was the landlord. But he realized God. When the Sri Ramachandra came, the Lord Vishnu in the form of Sri Ramachandra, almost all people considered him as the son of Dasharatha the king. Never could understand that he is God himself. Only a few rishis and Hanumanji, of course. Here we find it is so difficult to understand the God who is living with me, talking, walking. Can you believe the God in that human form? And sometimes he is angry, sometimes he is shouting, sometimes he is laughing, just like us. But he is God himself. Mathur Babu realized it. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is mentioning, no one can understand in this way. It's so difficult. To understand an avatar and incarnation, you need to be in that level. Your mind should be in that high level. Then only you can understand. Otherwise, we always judge according to our standard. All things that we judge according to our standard. Those who are really bad type of people, they always steal, they will always do this and that. When they look at the monk, they will, they are doing it, must be some other interest is there, otherwise why they are doing, they must be doing this. They are collecting money, that means they are going to enjoy that money, because they do that. So obviously, according to our mental condition, we always judge the world and others. Now, look at the Mathur Babu, who was a landlord and apparently an ordinary person, but how he realized, and he said, you need not to do like that, because they are afraid that they will be bound. But you are the creator, you are the God yourself. You need not to bother about that. I said to Keshav, since the ego cannot be given up, let it remain as the servant of God. So, who is going to receive the grace of God? Who has given up the ego. Now, if I give up the ego, I won't be able to work at all. Then what type of ego I should retain? Paka ami, ripe ego. What is this ripe ego? I am doing as a servant of God. When I am performing, I am taking the decision, but I know that I am only on behalf of God, as a servant of God, as a humble person. And before taking the decision, I have to pray to God. God, this is the problem has come. What should I do? Days after days, we have to pray to God. Then you will feel within yourself, this is the way I should handle. And constantly you have to pray to God, please hold my hand, don't leave it. I cannot work. This is the work that I am doing for you. And if you are leaving me, then how can I do this? I don't need to do it. So that is called the Paka Ami. We have to do, because without that we cannot survive. So at the same time, we should not do thinking that I am doing. I am doing on behalf of God, as a servant of God. He is mentioning to Keshav. Then giving the example of the Prahlada. Prahlada, those who have read that in the mythology, they know the Bhagavata also. The Prahlada had two moods. Sometimes he would feel that he was God. In that mood, he would say, Thou art verily I, and I am verily Thou. You are me, and I am you. I, the Son of God. Like that. That's not the greats, the realized soul, they say it like that. At the same time, I am God. But when he was conscious of his ego, he felt that God was the master and he was the servant. After a man is firmly established in the ideal of I am he can live as God's servant. Now the real thing has come. Who can truly say that I am the servant of God? He who has realized God. Friends, we will stop here and we will continue from this place and in the next reading. Thank you.
So the first question is from Triguna. He's saying how to capture the 6 enemies of the mind like Kama, Moksha, and how to develop bhakti and faith on God.
You know that the how to give up the Kama, the desire and all that, and that is prayer, the practice. First, clear understanding. In the Vedanta, they have 7 steps. In the very first step is the clear understanding. The Shubhecha, then Bicharana, the Bichara, the discrimination. Since you have got the first step, Shubhecha, Shubha Ichcha, the holy desire, that I like to give up the desire, attachment, then as you were hearing the gospel or reading the gospel, take the advices of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna and every moment whatever you are doing, always say, God, I am doing it because of you, on your behalf. Please don't leave my hand. Please guide me what should be the right path. And by that way, the constant prayer, your mind will be purified and God's grace will reveal over there. That is the only path. Thank you.
Sohini is asking, what is the purpose of the Maya world? Why did God create the Maya world? Or is it our own ignorance that creates the Maya world?
See, those who are following the path of jnana, the knowledge, they say this is our ignorance. This is our wrong conception. Because they don't believe in God. There's the path of knowledge. The jnana yogis, the Advaita that they say, no Dvaita, no duality, when they give the talk or advices and discuss, they talk like this. That is also correct. But when we are talking, keeping the God in between, we are the Dvaitin, the dualist, God is there, He is the all-powerful, then we say the power of God has made this. Why? It is His divine play. It is His divine play. Who has created this universe? God. Out of what? Out of God's will. So now who will go and ask God, hey, why you have thought like that? So the Swami Vivekananda, when this question was asked to him, he said, Hindus are bold enough to say, we do not know. So who will go and ask God, why you have created Maya and this universe? We are suffering. In reality, we are also the same God. It's the God's play. Thank you.
Aditi is asking, it seems ego is inseparable, then what to do with it?
Oh, Aditi, just now, as Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is advising, when we are feeling that we cannot live, not feeling, that is the truth, without ego, then turn it as a servant of God. I as a servant of God doing. That is called pakami, ripe ego. There is no harm in that. And if you practice in that way, no hypocrisy, you are just saying that I am the servant of God, but at the same time you are enjoying when you are successful and suffering when you are failure. That means that is wrong. But if you truly try, then that will take you to the ultimate goal. Thank you.
Devashish is asking, is human emotions also Maya?
Of course. When there is nothing, I am imagining that this is my son, my daughter, my grandson, my granddaughter, where from they came. This is also the imagination, this is also the Maya. But that is so uniquely presented to us, we do not believe to, we are not ready to accept that this is Maya. We like it so much. That's why we are bound. Similarly, in the dream, when we see that I am a king, I am ruling a country, people are coming and they are receiving my grace and all that, suddenly somebody comes and pushed me, hey, why we are lying down over here? You have to go and wash the dishes, get up. Then what will happen? Oh my God, why this man has broken my dream? It is just like that. We are dreaming wonderfully, this world are full of my relatives, my relations. But in truth, real truth, these are all our imaginations.
Gaurav is asking, can you please explain the meaning of this quotation from Swami Vivekananda? Quote, we are what our thoughts have made us, so please take care about what we think.
Oh, wonderful. So Gaurav, this is, we are what our thought. So if we think that I am going to be this, you can become. Because the tremendous power is there in the thought, and at the same time, not only thought, I am lying down and thinking that I am going to be the President of America, can I become that? At the same time, you have to work. We are what our thoughts. Then when I am thinking I am going to be liberated from this bondage, but you have to work. You have to practice meditation, you have to withdraw the senses, you have to practice austerity, then only. So thinking is the first step. Shubhecha, as the Vedanta say, the good wish, then I have to work hard. And when you are trying, then the contexts will come, sources will come. And when you are utilizing those, one day you will reach to the ultimate goal. So whatever we think, we become. That's why never think that I won't be able to do. Never think that I am nothing. The negative thought will weaken us and will take nowhere. So think positively, try positively, and give it leave it at the hands of God. Thank you.
Sonu, it is more of a comment. Every time I listen to you, I feel to be in the protection of Divine Mother, as if no fear has come to me. Thank you for your talk. Have a wonderful travel to India. It is more of a comment.
Thank you, Sonu. And you know that this is not me. It is the words of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. This is the gospel that you are listening, is the each and every word of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna is nothing but the word of God. And that is why. And truly, why should we be afraid? There is Mother. And pray to Mother. When we get up in the early morning, just look at the picture of the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna and Ma Sharadamani Devi, Swami Ji, and say, now a new day is beginning. There will be so many challenges. Please be with me. Help me to overcome all these challenges. Every day, like sincerely when you are doing it, you will feel that somebody is there always with you. As the children, when they are going out to school and all that, before boarding to the school bus, they will turn and look at the mother and showing the bye-bye, and they know the mother is there. Though I am getting separated right this moment, I will go to school, but my mother's care is always there. Just do like that. Thank you, devotees.
There are many comments from folks from India, but one lady, she joined from Brazil. She's saying, I listen from Brazil. I love your talks. Thank you.
Thank you all. If you are liking this talk, and please pray to the Divine Mother and also to Thakur and Swamiji, and with a faith. They are not only pictures, they are truly there, very, very living. And in this present age, these are the God and goddesses. I am telling gods, plural, but actually it is one God in three different forms. Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada and Swami Vivekananda. Together, the three together, the God all-pervading. I believe. And I always pray. So please pray and pray to reach to your goal. Thank you. So let us conclude with this prayer. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamidyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namama. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.